You probably think I'm just laying down, but actually what's going on is a revolution. If you don't believe me, I got some news for you, fam. I got some news for you, so lay down. Let's chat. First off, it's your girl Esther Joy coming at you with another video. On this channel, we like to talk about love, light, joy, and peace, and I want to talk about one of the most peaceful protests I have ever seen that is happening right now, and what you should know about it, and maybe what we can collect as a collective about this whole situation. The lay flat movement is a wide-spreading trend that is reforming the Chinese society as a whole. The cute graphics that have been sharing and being virally distributed are quickly shut down by the Chinese government because of how threatening it is to the productive laws that they have pushed with their citizens for so long. Yet this unrealistic standard of production is coming to an end with this movement. While researching, many articles were taken down surrounding this topic in recent months. Yet, put it quite simply, this poses an economical, political, and social threat to the Chinese government. The lay flat movement not only is calling out professionals who have been running the rat race for way too long, but promises the release of the crushing expectations that society has put on so many of these individuals. As this movement continues to grow in momentum, many of the government and other rigid structures in society have called out the participants as being shameful to the nation, simply being lazy and not sucking up the responsibility of the soul-crushing work that they will never be repaid for, nor can they barely support themselves. Now, to put this in context, China produces most of the consumptions that the world consumes. There's a big highlight on consumption, always dangling the carrot over the stick for the rest of the working population to try. But even if they work as hard as they possibly can, that promise of the carrot never really comes true. And most people in China are working jobs that they cannot break through the glass ceiling and are unable to pay for the expenses that they may have been promised in later years. The lay flat movement's standards and motto is pretty simple. Don't buy property, don't buy a car, don't get married, don't have children, and don't consume. And this is the reason lay flatters have really concerned China's leaders, as they're threatening that sap of the imaginary carrot is no longer motivating the workers. To give some more context, China's population has been increasing in age as less and less people are having children. If you remember, China used to have a law stating you can only have one child. There was also a period of 100 days where there were no children to be born, and all children were aborted. Now China has realized this decline in population, and because so many of the older generation are retiring out of the workforce, they are needing to bring up and increase that population. Unfortunately, the allowance of people having 2 kids did not help. Yet they decided this year that maybe telling people that they can have 3 kids might get them a little bit more excited. As we can see, that did not work. That is not the case, as people barely can afford, after working around 12 hours a day, not 6 days a week. They are still struggling to pay for their own place to live, let alone take care of a family. Only by laying down can humans become the measure of all things. But what does that exactly mean in terms of the lay flat movement, and why was this quote deleted? Ideally, the Tangping or lay down movement just means to not overwork, being content with what you have, reducing very much like a minimalist style, and having time to unwind, instead of being praised for hard work that later leads to exhaustion and stress. Humans aren't tools to just make things, and I think that was the main idea that he was conveying with that quote. Quite simply, the laydown movement highlights how the larger corporations utilize individuals such as leaks, but when they lay down, they are unable to be cut away and harvested. At this stage, this nonviolent protest is a form of survival for many, pushing them into a corner where it is either work the rat race or become an outcast, and some of them would rather just simply lay down. Despite the Chinese government's best efforts to keep this lay down movement down low, and the censorship has only brought more suspicion to how powerful this movement really is. As we know, many of the larger elites are trying to carry out the New World Order, but with situations such as the lay flat movement, they are unable, if the bodies are not willing, to respond to any of their tactics. The population has access to the internet, and they know what's up. They see many people either working jobs, barely having enough time to spend with their families, even dying from overexhaustion and working hours in jobs that they rather dislike. Many of these young people, I feel, really just want to have an opportunity to be passionate with what they are working with and to have time to lay down and rest and contribute it to society. But this way of reforming society from the inside out, quite literally doing nothing, has been the one thing I think the government said, you can't do anything to stop me. So that is exactly what they decided to do.